Hey, what's going on, Cornerstone Youth? My name is Christian, and today we're going to talk about doubt. Doubting is something everybody experiences, whether it's doubt that someone's going to come through for you, or doubt in yourself, or doubt that God is who He says He is and that He's good. Everybody experiences doubt. And doubt is simply being unsure. It's the tension between belief and disbelief. There's a story in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14, where Peter and the disciples are out on a boat in the middle of the night, in the middle of a storm. And they see a figure off to the distance, and they think it's a ghost. But then that ghost yells, "Take heart, it is I." And it turns out to be Jesus. And so Peter says, "Can I come walk out on the water with you?" And Jesus says, "Come." And so Peter gets out of the boat, hops onto the water, and starts running towards Jesus, and then remembers that he's in a storm. Peter takes his eyes off Jesus, looks up at the storm, and begins to sink immediately. Peter cries out to Jesus saying, "Will you save me?" And immediately Jesus grabs his hands, puts him back in the boat, the wind stops, they all start worshiping Jesus, and Jesus asks a question to Peter: "Why did you doubt?" And that got me thinking, why do we doubt? Where does it come from? And I think there's a few lessons in this story that we can learn from. The boat. I don't know if you've ever been in a boat or not, but I have. And when you're out in the middle of the water, that is your comfort zone. That is where you want to be. And so this boat represents our reason, our logic, our facts, our science, our data. It represents our comfort zone, what makes sense. But I love it because when we follow Jesus, sometimes we're called to step out of our comfort zone and our safe place and do things that don't logically make sense, but that is requiring a step of faith. Peter jumps out of his safety net, he jumps out of his comfort zone and jumps onto the water. And what's crazy is when he jumps into the water is as safe and solid as the wood of the boat. And he steps on and he's like, "Man, I'm walking on water." And so he starts taking off after Jesus. And then he remembers that he's in the middle of a storm. So Peter takes his eyes off Jesus, and the Bible says he looks at the wind. The last time I checked, you can't see the wind. You can only see the effects of the wind. And that makes me think, what are the invisible battles that you are fighting? The doubt, the fear, the insecurities that nobody else can see. On the surface, we look put together, but on the inside, we're drowning. And the moment Peter took his eyes off Jesus, he begins to drown. And that's what it's like for a lot of us. The moment we stop praying and worshiping and listening to worship music, we start to drown in our doubts. Doubting is okay. There's nothing wrong or bad about doubting. You just don't want to drown in your doubts. And as Peter is sinking, he asks Jesus, "Can you save me?" And Jesus grabs him by the hand, pulls him out of the water, and puts him in the boat. The wind stops. And right here, we're reminded that we think we need those crazy big miracles in order to believe in Jesus. And walking on water, I'm pretty sure nobody in the history of humans has ever walked on water. Those big miracles aren't enough. We need God's saving grace and His saving hand, His outstretched arm to lift us out of doubt every step of the way. I love Peter here because he always asks the question, "Jesus, is that you? Jesus, can I do the impossible? Jesus, can you save me?" And when they got back into the boat, Jesus asked the simple question, "Why did you doubt?" And if you notice, they didn't come up with any sort of response. all they could do was worship. And I think that is the answer to the question of how do we defeat doubt. We defeat doubt with worship, with taking our eyes off of ourselves and putting our focus on Jesus. And are you inviting Jesus into your doubt?